Welcome to Scorched Earth. This is going to be a mid-month reading for the sign of Virgo, Sun, Moon and Ascendant. If you don't know what your Moon or Ascendant signs are, have a look in the description box below. There's a link down there that will take you to a site that will help you find your natal chart for free. And then you should come back and watch videos for your Moon and Ascendant signs, because they give you a better idea of what's going on with you overall than you'll just get from your Sun sign. Don't want to preempt anything, but in the pre-meditation, before I even start the camera rolling, I was hit with such a wave of nausea and a pain in my head, which has now gone as well. Right in the crown, right here, and feels like that's your energy. But we'll see what comes out with the cards and take it from there. I just want to take the opportunity to thank everyone again for their continued support. With your likes, shares, subscribes, donations, messages, everything. It's wonderful to connect with you, and I don't get a chance to respond to as many of the comments as I would like to, but I'm going to try and do that once I've got this round of videos uploaded. Please just know that you are loved by me. And right, I think that's enough shuffling from there. So, because it's a mid-month reading, we're just going to go 3 cards for where you are right now, 3 cards for what's coming towards you for the last 2 weeks of April, and then 3 cards of advice. I'm going to try not to pull any clarifiers if possible, because I'd like to keep this nice and short. But if I feel I need to, then I'm just going to do that, because, YOLO and all that. I am doing extendeds for most of the signs. I think there's a couple. I think actually maybe there's just one that I haven't done so far, because Capricorn didn't really need it. It was pretty straightforward reading. And I did one for you before, but if I think that you need another one, then I'm going to do it, and the link will be in the description box. So if the reading resonates with you at all, you might want to go and check that out. Right. Let's have a look at this then. I have 3 cards for Virgo's energy right now, please. 3 cards. Oh, fuck. Right, so the first one is the Knight of Fire. That's the card of Sagittarius. Let's have a look at these. They've thrown themselves out. We've got the King of Skies, the 6 of Earth, the Hierophant, the 3 of Earth, and the Empress. I'm not going to take them because there's far too many. But it's worth just noting that they're there. I'm sure if any of them want to come out, they'll reappear, because that's what they do. Could I have 2 more cards for Virgo, please? You like Virgo's energy right now. Virgo, are you all right? I mean, Jesus. It's the 9 of Swords there. It fell out to the right. 2 more cards for Virgo, please. Tell me about Virgo's energy right now. This one. Oh, how interesting. So 2 of those cards that came out before have come out together. So we're going to take those. And yeah. The 9 of Cups, or the 9 of Oceans as it is in this deck, has come out, but it's come out reversed and it dropped. So I'm not going to take it, but it's worth noting that it's there. Like that way up, it talks about wish fulfillment, knowing what you want, all that kind of thing. It's come out in reverse. It's important to notice. Also, I'm dealing with the Lost Forest deck today. This is the one that seems to be wanted to be used for the mid-month readings for all the signs, so I'm pulling it out. Interesting. At the bottom of the deck, we've got the 9 of Fire, which is the 9 of Wands. And we've got the 7 of Earth, which is 7 of Pentacles, but it's reversed. Now, this way up, it talks about having a look at your circumstances and see what needs, changing about them, making positive decisions about whether to continue investing or whether to divest. And I found it interesting that it's come out in the reverse, because that seems like a refusal to do that. The 9 of Fire, another card of Sagittarius, interestingly, but it talks about Sometimes it can talk about, the need to set boundaries or good boundary setting, if you have employed that. But often it can talk about needing to fight when you don't really want to. It's the step before the Ten of Wands where things become so burdensome that you have to put the wands down. But it does feel a little bit like you feel like your world's on fire at the moment. Right? Underneath these two cards, we've got the Strength card, which is the card of Leo. And it's like you're trying really hard to be strong at the moment, but it's hard. It's really hard. Right, this explains the head pain that I got while I was shuffling your cards. So the first one that we've got is the Knight of Fire, right? And this may or may not be a Sagittarian that you're dealing with. And it's in your current energy right now. So it could be that whatever comes next is with regard to a Sagittarian. If it's not, then this is an energy of living in the moment, right? It's a fairly non-committal energy, and it's quite interesting, the other cards that have come up, and I'll show you those in a second. This is a card of an energy that goes where the fun is, there's no roots put down with this energy. Sorry, I'm just trying to decide which deck to use to clarify. I had a feeling it would be. I don't know if it's because the tower's sitting at the bottom of here. This is the commonplace deck. So, tell me about the Knight of Fire. Why is this here for Virgo, please? See, what we've got is the Six of Pentacles, but it's come out in reverse. Now, this way up, it talks about balancing out, right? We sometimes talk about charity and stuff like that, but it talks about balancing your own resources, right? This way up, it's not balanced. And it's funny because this is not a card that I would traditionally associate with Virgo. Now, it's mutable fire, just as you are mutable earth, so there's a certain amount of movement and flexibility in you that would correspond perhaps with the Knight of Fire. But what I keep hearing as I'm looking at this and I'm looking at the Knight of Fire is just that everything is on fucking fire. Like, everything is on fire. Like, some things just come through and nuked everything, and it's leaving you feeling really unsettled, I think. Really unsettled. Knight of Fire. Whoa. Yeah, Page of Pentacles, but it's come out in reverse. Again, this is a lot of reversals. I don't tend to shuffle my cards in a way that encourages reversals. And periodically I go back through the deck and I straighten them up because I'm a bit like that. I like them all the right way around. So when they come out in reverse, I pay a lot of attention to them. The Page of Pentacles for me is a card of knowing the value of things. It's a card of new starts, right? This way up, the way the woman's holding that pentacle there, right? If you tip it up that way, she's kind of dropping it. It's almost like you don't... I'm getting a sense of a real kind of... What's the best way to describe this? It's ungrounded. It's a really ungrounded energy. And like, it feels like everything's just on fire. You don't know which way is up. You're going to drop your pentacle. You don't know what there is to hold on to in your life, which is really interesting. So you kind of sat, in fact, now this makes sense, you kind of sat entirely in the present and not really having a direction to go forwards. You don't know how to go forwards. It's perhaps things that have occurred in the past, shaken your foundations a little bit and left you feeling like you don't really know what you can tether yourself to try and stop yourself from going up in flames, potentially. The fact that this has come out in reverse suggests to me there's a certain aspect of a refusal to look at the things that could keep you tethered. right? A refusal to look at the situation as it actually is, rather than as you perceive it currently to be. Right? If the Eight of Swords or the Nine of Swords comes up, and in fact the Nine of Swords did show its face before, then I think I won't be surprised. But the next card you've got is the Six of Skies, and that's the Six of Swords in a standard deck. And that talks about leaving behind, the difficult situations and moving into calmer waters. Now, I don't feel like you've achieved this. Maybe these two cards coming out in reverse here, and this very present, very stuck, very on fire energy that you're displaying at the moment. It feels like there's a real want to be able to do that, but as yet you are failing to see the direction to move forward. Six of Skies. More about the Six of Skies, please. Oh, there it is, the Devil. What was that first one? Queen of Wands in reverse. Yeah. At the bottom of the deck, we've got the Ten of Pentacles, right, which is it's very family kind of oriented, but it talks about longevity and commitment and all those kind of things, and like I was saying, it's quite a foundational energy. It's the cornerstones of your existence. It's what you tether yourself to, and this feels like, rather than you moving away from difficult situations, it's being unable to move yourself away from a difficult situation because you are tethered. Now, why are you tethered? Queen of Wands in reverse and the Devil, right? This is the card of Capricorn. If you're dealing with a Capricorn, then always the good. But this way round, this is the most active queen in my humble opinion, right? The Queen of the Sword suit is given to be faster, right, than the Wand suit. I feel like that's mostly off the Knights, to be honest. But this queen, she's not static like the other ones. She goes out and she wanders around and she does what she likes, actually. She does what she fucking pleases because she's the Queen of Wands, right? But she's a very dynamic energy. She goes out, she goes after what she wants, right? Presented in her shadow aspect, as she is here, it's all fire. This isn't somebody who's free to wander and be flexible and move around and go after the things that she likes. This is someone who is absolutely static. This is someone who cannot move away from the things that are on fire. It's almost like she's deliberately keeping herself there, almost like she wants to catch on fire. And then we've got the Devil, which talks about fear. Primarily for me, it talks about codependence. It talks about being tethered to a situation, right, because you're afraid to move beyond it. Now, absolutely bears out what I was saying about having a feeling of this not being movement, a desperate want to move, but lacking a direction. The thing is with that, is it feels like you're keeping yourself in the fire, right? Now, the final two cards you've got for your current energy are the Hierophant and the King of Skies. Now, this is a really interesting combination because certainly one way to read this is the breakdown of some sort of family relations. The Hierophant speaks to structure, right? Rigidity, all that kind of thing. It can mean higher education and business and all that sort of thing. Anything where you've got somebody at the top who disseminates information to the people below them. So you can see that for big business and companies and, churches, schools, that kind of thing. But it can also be societal constructs, and we could be talking about the institution of marriage here, particularly these two together. And the King of Swords can be a judge. He can be, a lawyer. It could be that there's a marital breakup here, right? Being indicated by this, that you are finding it difficult to move on through, because this can indicate divorce, right? pure and simple. But let's get a couple of other cards. Hierophant and King of Skies, please. Oh, that head pain is coming back again. Hierophant and King of Skies. Oh, that's right on the crown up here. Virgo, my loves. Hierophant, King of Skies. What was that? I don't know. Fucking splurging. Yeah, I mean, the cards that have come out here could certainly lend weight to that interpretation. We've got the Two of Pentacles, followed by the Three of Pentacles, followed by the Fool and the Chariot. Right? There's a, you know, even if as I'm looking at this, right, it looks like the tree that is, you know, symbolic of the Hierophant in this regard. The tree looks like it's on fucking fire as well. Yeah, and the Hierophant is an earth card. It indicates Taurus. If you're dealing with a Taurus, that's the thing. We also have the Fool, which is Aries, and the Chariot, which is Cancer. Now, the Two of Pentacles talks about needing to balance out, you know, really fundamental need to balance out. But I never think that he looks like he's doing a particularly good job there. Yeah. The pentacles are above each other. It's really difficult to achieve a balance that way around. You know, when you think about balance, you think about it like this. You know, things just settling out this way. This is something that you're really struggling with. And then the Three of Pentacles, which talks usually about building something, right? But it feels like whatever it was that you were building is on fire. And if that's your marriage and you're now getting divorced, like that would make a lot of sense. The Fool and the Chariot being here is more of this yearning to move on, to move forwards, but you seem very stuck at the moment. Like I said, we don't have the 8 or 9 of Swords having come out yet, but you know, so that's one particular interpretation. The Hierophant and the King of Skies, the other way of looking at this, which I feel is less relevant given the cards that have all come before, because you are clearly stuck, right? And there is a fearful aspect to this. Is the Hierophant speaks about the structure and rigidity and things like that, and it's a backbone of some sort, right? If you're looking at it from a spiritual point of view, because the Hierophant is quite a spiritual card, it's about being a backbone. And you know, we had the 10 of Pentacles appear behind that, and that was the shadow card, rather. And that also talks about commitment and long-standing kind of effort and input. And it could be that you are finding yourself being that for other people. But there's this fucking skeleton right in front of this card here, right? Stuck to the tree, and it feels like it's maybe kind of sucking the life out of you a little bit. I don't know if the camera can pick that up, but right on the trunk of the tree there is a skeleton. And actually the way it is, it looks like the tree is the backbone of the skeleton, right? King of Skies is strictly Aquarius, and it is somebody who can make really logical, intelligent, you know, decisions without being swayed either way by emotions. Now, if this is a front that you are having to put up because people are depending on you, like I feel like it's taking quite a lot out of you, because you're on fire over here. Right? You're on fire, yet you're still having to be the backbone for other people. And maybe it's because you can do that. You can separate, you know, yourself with your emotions and making the decisions that need to be made, certainly. But you are struggling with the balance. Definitely struggling with the balance. But I feel like you're trying to keep it together for the sake of everybody else, right? And then there's this two cards of strongly moving forwards, duality, balancing out. Take it as it resonates to you. But those are two clear different interpretations that I can see off the back of that. So let's have a look and see what's coming towards you. I don't like the idea of you being on fire. There's a fucking tower there. Look. Right. Spin that around. Coming towards Virgo for the last 2 weeks of April, please. It's coming towards Virgo. Splurge again. Okay, there it is. 8 of Skies, that's the 8 of Swords, right? That is the card of self-sabotage, right? Almost certainly. Overthinking, feeling stuck, feeling trapped. Everything that I just said is here, you know? Directly underneath that, we've got the Chariot, which speaks of, you know, fast, decisive movement forwards and self-discipline, self-determination, self. Everything to do with the self is covered by the Chariot, right? You're blocking it. And that's the thing, you are blocking it, because that's the message that we take from the 8 of Swords. Now, what's coming towards you are these 3 cards here, and this is a difficult set of cards. We've got the 5 of Earth, the 2 of Oceans, right? So 5 of Pentacles, 2 of Cups, and the Devil again, right? Again, if you're dealing with a Capricorn, just saying, it's here. Now, the 5 of Pentacles, or the 5 of Earth as it is here, is a card that speaks about shifts and uncomfortable change of energy, you know. And being Pentacles, it's about resources, right? Whether those are, you know, money, potentially, or, you know, emotional resources, or your time, or your effort, you know, anything like that. The 5 of Pentacles, 5 of Earth, particularly speaks about abandonment, feeling left out in the cold, feeling neglected, feeling poverty-stricken in whatever sense that applies to you, you know, or a fear of those things. It's isolation, you know, all that sort of stuff. And the 2 of Oceans, the 2 of Cups, talks about relationships, right? Now, it could be that the lockdown is just really fucking getting to you. This social isolation is really getting to you. But I feel like this is with regard to a particular person. This doesn't feel like the world at large. Like, if it had been the 3, then I might have seen it that way. But this seems like it's with regard to a particular person, right? And it's followed by the Devil. So this one potentially, you know, positive card as it is here, is flanked by these 2 feelings here, right? There is one particular person who has left you feeling isolated, left you feeling abandoned, you know. And it's left you in a state of fear. But if you're what's coming towards you in the last 2 weeks of April, and I'm going to pull some more cards to confirm this either way, but certainly my feeling is that there's a certain amount of facing of demons that's going to go on, right? Facing of internal demons. Now, you're Virgo, right? You're renowned for being analytical, and particularly self-analytical. The problem that you're facing is that at this point, the likelihood of you overthinking is is looming large, right? You're not introspecting with this energy. You're being stuck. I just did an extended for Taurus because the 8 of Swords came up for Taurus as well. And I went in a little bit into the astrology behind the cards. So the 8 of Swords is Jupiter in Gemini, right? And what you've got there is a great expansive forceful energy, Jupiter, right? which focuses on tiny little things, which is Gemini, right? It's a nitpicky, needly kind of energy. In fact, let's pull open my book because I found a quote which resonated particularly strongly here. And I feel it's relevant for you as well. So I'm just going to read you this. It says, be wary of being restricted by your own self-destructive thought patterns and refusing to see where you can change your life for the better. Everything's on fire. You haven't got a direction, right? You need to ask yourself whether there is part of you that needs to feel helpless and victim. I get the feeling that you've been broadsided by something. I mean, this has been going on for a while, but it feels like the rug has been pulled out from underneath you with something, whatever it is, whether it's a close, intimate relationship like a marriage or something like that, or something slightly different. You fill in the blanks for you, you know. But when you're lacking direction and everything feels like it's on fire, like it's an easy thing to slide into, just feeling helpless, right? We've all done it. There's no judgment here from me. What it says here, do you have a desire to be rescued by another rather than liberating yourself? And that's a really important thing with the Eight of Swords, because in the standard depiction, there is a woman and she's blindfolded and she's bound and she's stood, on a seashore, flanked by 8 swords. But the important part of the card is if she just wriggled, those bonds would become free because she's not tied up tightly, right? Like, it's very, very loose. And once her arms are free and she can take the blindfold off, she can see her way forwards. And this is where the limiting comes in. Now, the book becomes very savage at this point and says, stop telling yourself that you cannot cope, stop creating obstacles that are of your own mental creation. Like, I would have said it nicer, but frankly, that is broadly what you're dealing with, And Crowley once said that this card was high goals, Jupiter, that are threatened by doubts and inner conflicts, which is Gemini. You've got this massive, expansive force coming down onto little things. This is overthinking, right? And this is where you are right now. True introspection, right? True helpful introspection, which is something that as a Virgo you are able to excel at, requires a certain amount of compassionate detachment, right? You can't relive the feeling over and over again because you get bound up in the emotion of the thing. Right? You need to be able to step back and be a little bit objective. Tell me about this devil here for Virgo, please. Tell me about this devil for Virgo. Wheel of Fortune here. Right? Now that could be a Sagittarius that's been testing you, but if it's not, then for me the Wheel of Fortune, like, yes, it talks about the wheel turning and an aligning of energies with where you're supposed to be and stuff like that, but it comes off the back of a lesson, and this is what you are being challenged to take on at this point. And the game changer for me personally was to reframe my thinking as to not why is this happening to me, because that just gets stuck, right? You just loop over and over in that. But why is this happening for me? Like, where's the lesson? Look for the lesson. The Wheel of Fortune for me is always about lessons, and it's come up to clarify this devil, this facing of demons. What about the devil for Virgo? Well, I've got 3 cards that have jumped there. Oh, it's just really fascinating. So we've got the 10 of Cups, which is in reverse. So that way up it talks about complete complete emotional fulfillment. But broadly, the 9 of Cups for me is that ability to be able to do it for yourself. It's about knowing what you want, knowing what makes you happy, and being able to make yourself happy. The 10 of Cups is coming together with somebody else who's on the same fucking page as you with that, right? And joining those 2 9 of Cups energies together to make something that you can share between you. But it's come out in reverse, and this kind of speaks again to this kind of separation from what you thought you knew, what you thought you could rely on. Yeah. And then we've got the High Priestess. Right. And I feel like you've become detached from your intuition. That's what it feels like here. And the challenge for you is facing your demons, rediscovering your intuition, and then using the Page of Wands to move forwards. You've got to kind of to find things to be excited about again, rather than on fire. Like the other Wands cards that came up were, higher up the up the court echelons, whatever. But there's a simplistic charm to this card. I like it. It's kind of going back to basics. It's keeping the right amount of fire, the right amount of being right here, right now, without everything fucking going up in flames around you. This is your challenge. This is what you need to look at. So I am certainly going to do an extended on this. So if you're interested, have a look in the description box, because I feel like you're really going through something at the moment, and it hurts. I can feel it on my head. I've got a pain in my head again. So I have 3 cards of advice for Virgo, please. 3 cards of advice for Virgo. One. The 3 cards that you've got are the Emperor, the King of Earth, and the 3 of Fire. The shadow card at the bottom of the deck is the Ace of Skies, and that talks about the truth, pure and simple, the truth. And truth is either binary. It is binary. It's either true or it's not, right? It's not a little bit true, or whether we're talking about proper innate truth. But it's clarity of expression, it's clarity of thought, it's an epiphany, right? It's things hitting you. This is what you're looking for. This is what you need to find. Now, the Emperor card, as well as the card of Aries, I'm struck by how similar it is to the Hierophant here. But it's a little less painful to look at, if I'm honest. Like, except for this Hierophant, right? It fucking looks like the tree's on fire, but it's got this skeleton at the front here who looks like, it's using the tree as its fucking backbone, or it's feeding the tree and it's literally having the life sapped out of it to continue, right? This is the preceding card, and this looks like a much more comfortable energy, right? But there are a couple of ways of looking at this. 3, in fact, now I see it. Now, do you remember what I was talking about compassionate detachment, taking a step back, all of that kind of thing, right? This is your current energy, and this is your advice. Now, can you notice the difference in proximity, right? This tree, perhaps it's very small, or it's very far away. Thank you, Dougal, right? This one, you're so close to it, you're literally bound to it, right? Stuck like that. This one, we've stepped back from it. We can see the sunlight coming through the tree, right? See them coming through the leaves. There's peace in this card, where I do not feel peace from this one. So, that's the first way of looking at it. Compassionate detachment, step yourself back and look at things objectively, like the Emperor would, in fact. The other thing the Emperor talks about is, taking charge of things. He's looking at things strategically, not getting bound up in emotional things. Right? It's doing the best thing for everyone, without really necessarily taking any of the emotional stuff into consideration. The other way to look at this is that potentially you are on fire because you're trying to control a situation, right? You're just trying to make it the way it was before, and the fact is that, like, the world's moved on, everything else has moved on around you, and you are sitting in a bonfire of your own creation now, right? Relinquish control. There's a whole stack of things that you can control, all of them, enumerated and demonstrated by the Chariot card, which has come up for you, right? And they all involve you. They all revolve around you. It's nothing to do with anyone else. And that's kind of like, don't try and control the situation or the outcome or anyone else, because it's not for you to do that. This is more about you responding in the best way for you. The second card of advice that you got is the King of Earth, which is the King of Pentacles. Now, that's the card of Taurus. If you've got a Taurus around, maybe you're leaning on them a little bit. But if not, and I suspect not, then just like the Emperor, it's about taking charge of you and yours, right? The stuff around you. This is about being reliable and dependable and all of that sort of stuff. But the King of Earth is very concerned with making sure that his home environment is okay, right? And that's about that, that can be about work, making sure there's enough money coming in and stuff like that, but it's about making sure that the practical aspects of your life are in place, right? It's quite possibly an exhortation, to kind of step your mind down from the emotional stuff that you're looking at the moment. And just take 5, maybe just even fucking get out in nature a little bit, go for a walk, do something, some sort of grounding exercise, because the King of Earth is a very grounded energy, right? And you don't feel grounded. You're on fire. I'm going to say it again, like I said it right at the beginning of the read, you don't feel grounded. You need to pull that back a little bit. And then we've got the 3 of Fire, right? Which is, for me, an expansive kind of energy. It's about looking to the future, right? If the 2 of Wands is the crossroads, the planning stage, all of that kind of thing, the 3 of Wands, or the 3 of Fire, is when you execute that out into the 3D. It's getting out and doing things, anything, because you've been stuck in your own head. And I think that's been true for a lot of people, because we haven't had the opportunity to do things. But maybe you've got so stuck in there that you are neglecting to do those simple things that might help you. We saw it in the 8 of Swords. There's a certain amount of self-bondage implied by that energy, like deliberately keeping yourself stuck, deliberately keeping yourself on fire, rather than looking for those ways to gently bring yourself back down to earth, to ground yourself, to get out there and do things. And this could be, as simple as going out for a walk and getting out in nature and all that kind of thing. Go and see the fucking sea, something, If you live by the sea, don't take a 200, mile round trip to go to the beach, because you'll get into trouble. But get outside. If it's not that, then it's talking about making plans and getting them done. It's about putting yourself out into the world a little bit more than you have been, because I get this sense of retreat. If you're on fire, then the chances are that you haven't been, making that much of it. But life has changed and things are different. But you work with what you have and you create something new, right? Execute it into the 3D. And like I said, I'm gonna do an extended on this, because I really do think it's necessary. So if you want to join me over there, that would be cool. But otherwise, take care of yourself, and I will see you before too long.